And also got the news that George Mells has done his hamstring, so not good news for Avondale at all.
Are you going to be on the Bulleen call on Monday?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Three-man booth with Nick and Lockie. I'll be tuning in. Well, I'll tune in afterwards. Preston will play a simultaneous kickoff with Kingston, but yeah, Kingston. Yeah. How's the level, mate?
Yeah, no.
Bernard. Check, check, 1, 2. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go, Matt.
Testing, testing. 1, 2.
Is he a bit
testing.
high?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, cool. Sweet. Round 18 here in NPL Victoria, and the Reggio Calabria Club is the venue as Avondale take on Hume City. Two of the competition's entertainers coming head-to-head. And Hume City looking to break an unwanted streak against Avondale of 5 consecutive defeats here. Avondale, well, their last week result is going to go down as a 3-0 defeat on paper. It's a forfeit loss after fielding an ineligible player in the 5-1 win over Moreland City. But in terms of the action on the field, they are in sparkling form. 4 wins in their last 5 league games for Hume City. They've found their scoring touch this season many times from outside the area, but missing one of their star men, Lloyd Isgrove, who went off with a calf complaint against Port Melbourne last week. Fletcher McFarlane drops to the bench. In comes Harry Ascroft in the heart of defence, and Josh Bingham, both returning from yellow card suspensions. For the visitors, Michael Weir, Mark Ocheng, Tom Marichich and Lachlan Weir keep their places in the defensive unit. Josh O'Kane and Oscar Carlson hold down the midfield with Josh Galevsky ahead of them. Amir Abdallah supporting Mikhail Platt and Bingham in attack. For Avondale, Tom Manos is between the sticks. An unchanged back four of Sebastian Vargas, Kalalu Kamara, Aidan Bryce and Blake Carpenter. A welcome return from injury for Stefan Zinni and Kerr. George Mells, Liston Diaz and Adam El Hayek drop out of the squad, as do Alessio Centaro and Lucas Hogan from the bench. Sian Cuba and George Ott keep their places in the starting lineup, with youngster Ethan Pisani coming in for a start. And on the bench for Avondale, Mayan, Jacob Chinema, Dom Birchia, Stefan Sitovic, a very young quartet. And then rounding out the substitutes, well, it's an unlikely appearance on the pine for Christian Trajeski, who fractured his leg just a couple of months ago against Dandenong Thunder. So a speedy comeback for the star playmaker. We'll see if he gets minutes today. All set to kick off here at Avenger Park. My name is Josh Parrish, and I'm delighted to be joined today in commentary by Adam Palombi. Adam, welcome.
An absolute pleasure to be amongst it this afternoon with quite the custodian on the microphone in Josh Parrish. Quite the turnout and build-up around us here at Avenger Park in Parkville. Having spoken to the visitors' talisman of Lloyd Isgrove prior to kick-off, the calf concern in his left leg, the reason as to why, rather, he's not featured for Hume this afternoon. The returning Stefan Zinni, sort of an imbalance of firepower perhaps, which might be the tail of the tape. Isgrove had mentioned that this affair won't be the ladder in attacking terms. It's more going to be quite the chess match, a low-scoring affair is the prediction of the Welsh international.
Well, it looks like Ethan Pisani is going to start in defence, with Aidan Bryce in a holding midfield role. That's the shape early for Avondale. So, having to deputise in a position that's not familiar, but given the injury crisis here at Avenger Park, unsurprising that some of their more experienced players are being asked to do things a little outside their comfort zone. Aidan Bryce, though, as far as centre-backs go, pretty comfortable on the ball, capable of slotting into midfield, do you think, Adam?
He has that versatility, and as a captain you have to contribute where needed. Certainly has all the leadership qualities within his game. It will be telling to see if he can hold that position in the engine room.
Oscar Carlson switch. Blake Carpenter's header in field. Stefan Zinni, his first real touch back from injury. He's forced back towards his own goal. Manos with a hot potato in goals. Delicate dink out to Carpenter, and Avondale play their way out. Well, slightly nervy one from Ethan Pisani, but understandable for a young defender.
Perhaps a bit of commentator's curse to play there, Josh.
Well, his more experienced counterparts were effortlessly passing their way around the Hume press, but Pisani knocked it into touch. I believe this is his first start of the season, Ethan Pisani. Bobble for Bryce, and his touch works its way out to Abdallah. He's prompting a run from Ocheng out wide. Instead, he goes into the feet of Bingham. Abdallah lining up his sights, never got hold of that one, but Avondale will have to be pretty careful, especially considering the kind of goal-scoring form the Mira Avondale is in. But they don't need to be told that. They saw it firsthand in the last time these two sides met at it.
All the way back in February for, I believe, round 5 or 6. Don't quote me on it. But you might quote me commentating the free kick in which Abdallah converted, which equalised the 80th minute of that contest. It was quite the goal, and moments in which Abdallah has become accustomed to throughout his tenure with Hume in NPL Victoria. 9 goals so far for the season, 17 games played. Can't blink when he's within that vicinity to let fly.
What a breakout season he's having. Another belter last week against Port Melbourne. Hume City through to the national stages of the Australia Cup as well. Win in midweek. Over Caroline Springs George Cross it was. PPL 1 side. Bingham chasing like a lost cause into the corner. He's conceded a throw instead of a goal kick, which is maybe preferable. George dropping off the front line. Utak Towns caught in congestion. And here goes Amir Abdallah lining another one up. Blocked by Sion Cuba. He went in hard to the aerial challenge with Carlson. No whistle. Kerr knocks it back to Kalalu Kamara. Again, Manos flirting with danger as he plays sweeper keeper. And he's passed it straight out of play for a Hume City corner. Well, they've thrown down the gauntlet early, Hume, with how high they're pressing.
You can see there Timber entering the box. 2 centre halves making their way into that central region of it. Bingham also at the edge of the box. Platt just behind the 6 yard as it's crossed in. Pretty tame cross in truth from Abdallah. Defensive duties perhaps as Kerr chases. Carlson happy to recycle through Lachlan Weir. Sends a long ball forward towards Platt. Heads it on towards the Golevsky region. Not dealt with entirely. It looked as if there might be still a chance. There still will remain one for Hume. Shot dispatched. Second attempt from Golevsky. And the Avondale defence. Well, for a moment there, Josh. Caught napping. Hadn't dealt with the initial effort.
Huge
so chance. For a couple.
Not once but twice from Josh Golevsky. And I've just noticed here a late change to the Hume City team sheet. Don't see the towering figure of Tom Marichich out there. It looks like Fletcher McFarlane's had to come in at centre-back. He wasn't down to start on the team sheet, so you assume something's happened in the warm-up.
Dallas cross in, cleared by Ott. It's going to fall to O'Kane, who took it on the fly. And will do it all again from the corner.
Well, it was charged down, but looked like a pretty sweet hit on the volley from Josh O'Kane. Yet to score for Hume City.
Got to appreciate the work of O'Kane in the engine room for Hume. Really gets things moving. As Abdallah goes the short option. Weir. Cross. Never really got some loft onto it. And Carlson couldn't trap, which culminates in a goal kick for the home side.
Seemed like a missed opportunity to put a ball in the box there with Avondale a little rocked by that Golevsky double chance. Mikel Platt giving Kalalu Kamara a hard time. Manos goes short to Bazzani. Calmly done that time by the young defender out to Blake Carpenter. Took his time on the ball. Bryce keeping it simple. Well, you can see the intent from Avondale, but they can't seem to get out of their own defensive third. This is better. Kerr again forced back to the centre-backs.
They look more authoritative in possession now. They're really patient and picking out their passes. They're trying to absorb that pressure from the visitors. I think they're happy to remain patient in possession. I'm sure that long ball forward might happen soon. Carlson, however, had earned it following that heavy touch. But they're sitting off from the high press in which they started the game with their Hume.
Yeah, Josh Bingham choosing not to go to Manos that time. Keep the shape. This is Carpenter. Fires it into the feet of Otts. Harry Ascroft has the beating of him in the 50-50, and now it's fed from O'Kane to Abdallah. And here come Hume City now. Avondale have had possession, but Hume have had the territory. Abdallah went to ground, no whistle, and away skips Kerr. Stefan Zini's in space on the far side if he can find him. And rather overcomplicated things there, Kerr. You can see he's rusty, hasn't played in a while.
And just to touch on the form in which Stefan Zini was in before his injury, in 13 games, he hit the score sheet on 8 occasions. It was against Hume at Hume City Stadium. He was on the score sheet rather that evening. He opened Avondale's account and broke the deadlock upon that occasion. So Kane, while he had Galevsky to his right, if he could control the ball upon finding it, but just a touch back onto Stefan Zini. It's rather exciting seeing him back.
He scored 14 goals last season, which was enough for him to finish second in the gold medal tally, as Avondale had that dominant year. 8 already, even with time missed due to injury. Here come Hume. Abdallah fires it in low. Straight to Tom Manos, with Mikael Platt lurking with intent. Pisani gives it away, and now Mikael Platt has a huge chance to open the scoring, and it's off the posts. What a chance for Hume City after a massive giveaway from young Ethan Pisani, and Mikael Platt will be ruining that one.
Just looking at David Schick's reaction, he thought as if his English striker had broken the deadlock. He was agonisingly close. Has prompted a response from Avondale. They're venturing forward. Ott, an option. Zini was tried to be played in behind. Carlson cleaning things up. Achine. Galevsky caught the ball behind him. Now Towns acknowledges Carpenter in a wide area. They venture towards the box. All for Weir to claim and release quickly to Abdallah. Isolated. Finds Platt. Galevsky now making a run of his own. An intervention was necessary, and it was made. Preventing that pass over the top. Pisani. It's Woken. The home-siders Ott trying to get onto that pass. In the process, just gives a nudge to his defensive counterpart.
And Harry Ascroft, such intelligent defending there. He knew the contact was coming, just braced himself for it, got his body in between attacker and ball, because George Ott had a step on him for pace, but he had to draw that contact and win a cheap free kick to relieve the pressure in the defensive third. Oh, you're right, Adam. It seems as if Avondale have been working from their slumber by that Mikael Platt chance. It was almost the right decision from Ethan Pisani, and just poor execution. He took the press on, stepped forward, tried to draw a defender and slip the pass. That's what Avondale do every week. That's what they're trained to do. That's how they're coached. But if you mess it up, the consequences can be pretty dire. So it's a tough situation for an inexperienced player to come into, a team that plays such bold attacking football and takes such risks.
They're happy to find some comfort back in possession. Much to the description provided by Lord Isgrove in the pre-game. Seems to be the latter so far. Zini happy to recycle through Carpenter. Just see now the visitors happy to sit off. Platt just jostling towards Kamara, who finds Ott. His pass intelligently interpreted by Lachlan Weir, who allows the pace of the ball to just rekindle possession. Or was it the visitors? It's a family affair at Hume, the Weir brothers, I assume.
Yes, indeed.
Reuniting for City.
Michael Weir is a Hume Centurion, one of the few who's played over 100 NPL games for Hume City before departing for his 3 years with the Newcastle Jets and reuniting with his brother. As Yite Towns wins it high for Avondale, teeing up Kerr, who goes round the outside, and it's flashed across the face of goal with his weaker right boot. Well, both sides have come desperately close to an opener. That was Avondale's best chance of the afternoon so far.
Well, Weir, in the Michael variety, was definitely attentive to the effort from Kerr. Went right across the face of his goal, the left corner of the option. Upon the chance, he wasn't too far away. So both sides early on have had their propositions in each other's respective attacks. Nothing tangible yet, but you feel like it could be coming soon. As Ott's press was dealt with momentarily, Towns flicks towards his captain Bryce, who has a screen. He's happy to head back towards Carpenter. Zini made to work for it, gets there ahead of Aching. Pass cut off by Galevsky. And Avondale will have possession via the throw-in, but you can see the visitors just push up. High line being held by Ashcroft and company in defence. Go towards Ott, he flicks on. McCain, despite the size discrepancy, manufactured his own header. Now Galevsky. Marabdella at the back post. Played a short option. Finally interpreted by Carpenter. Ott the target. Nice hold-up play from the Kiwi. There's the ball over the top towards Zini. The flag, we look towards it, has gone up. Stefan Zini offside.
Well, we know how quick Stefan Zini is. If he can time his run there, with Hume playing such a high line, he could have some joy today, but Avondale still threatening to turn the ball over in dangerous areas. Hume City looking to take advantage as McFarlane feeds it out to the left flank, and here comes Amir Abdallah. Two defenders for company. Kerr tracking back. Seb Vargas now skips away from one challenge. And now George Ott using his strength to bully his way past McFarlane, who grabbed a hold of him. And what action will the referee take here? Astro Sakalis, the man with the whistle today. Was Fletcher McFarlane stopping an attacking opportunity there? He's going to get away without a booking. Which will be a great relief to David Chick and his coaching staff, because there's nothing worse than playing away at Avenger Park and having one of your centre-backs booked early, as Port Melbourne found out a few weeks ago. Chance brewing for Avondale as Kerr combines with Sian Cuba. Cuba squares it up. Yite Towns! And Ocheng heads off the line. And then Stefan Zini scrambles it in. Well, it won't go on the highlight reel, but Stefan Zini won't care. 9 goals this season, a goal on his return from injury. And they all count. A scrappy opener for the Avengers.
Well, how do you unpack that? The visitors. It was rather the awkward ball to deal with. Towns, with the initial effort, was parried away by the keeper. It ricocheted up towards the crossbar. A chain cleared off the line. It was a scramble and was prodded home by the man who returns in Stefan Zini. He's not going to complain about the way he scored. They all count, as you mentioned. But rather the, well, unconventional way to open and break the deadlock this afternoon.
Old-fashioned goalmouth scramble, and Avondale will get their goal. They threatened down that right-hand side earlier with Kerr. Bears for it. Sound Cubers run and cut back. And Ite Towns sliding in. There was a bit of a deflection on the pass, and I think that maybe led to Michael Weir misjudging it slightly with the goalkeeper coming off his line and trying to claim, but Ite Towns got there first.
Cheating upon the goal line clearance. I'm not sure exactly what he was after. I think perhaps a cushioned head up for a teammate to clear.
Could have maybe put some more power behind that and tried to get the danger away. It's tough when you're running in the wrong direction and then you have to generate your own power with the header, with the ball kind of trickling towards the goal.
I feel as if he was calling upon Michael Weir to maybe even have a hand upon that cushioned header also, because it was rather unconventional from the boy from Adelaide.
I think he had more time than he knew as well. Could have maybe chest and volley away, but it's hard when you're scrambled in that situation to have that clear-eyed view of the situation there.
Of course, it's all easier said than done when you're sat comfortably on the gantry, not amidst the thick of it. As a Ching was under that pressure in that play, you're taught from grassroots level. When the ball is on the goal line, you smack it as hard as you can. Perhaps the cushioned header option, or not perhaps, showcases the cushioned header option was not the viable one, unfortunately for Hume.
Well, if he heads it into Michael Weir's arms, we're all calling him a genius, ice in his veins, Mark Otching, but didn't work out on that occasion, and the Avengers profit from it.
You expect a response, however, from the visitors. They had a decent start. They had a couple of chances of their own in which had exactly tested the capabilities of Manos in goal. As O'Kane been forced to spin move his way out of a double press. The Ching, deep ball for Ashcroft to deal with. Looks towards his goalkeeper. Finds O'Kane, who controls nicely. And for the meantime, that transition switch might just calm the press for the visitors.
Got to credit Josh O'Kane there. He was in all sorts of trouble with that pass and managed to spin his way around two defenders and get out of trouble.
You must admire a player that can withstand and absorb that pressure, can dictate the play. Certainly, well, the esteemed man in the middle of the park, in the engine room, really fulfills that role well.
Such a great story for Hume this season, O'Kane's emergence. He's been with the club since under 13s. They're very proud of their youth products at Hume. They are given pride of place, framed photos on the wall in the club rooms for all their youth products who graduate to the senior team and play a certain amount of games. And of course, Christian Trzeski on the Avondale bench, he's one of those players who has his picture on the wall. Ashcroft, nice ball over the top, but gave Mikael Platt too much to do. Manos looking for the quick restart through Aiden Bryce, and stepping into a number 6 role today, the big centre half. Kerr. Kamara punches it through the lines for Cuba. And then Kalalu Kamara lost his bearing slightly and dribbled it out of play. See how frustrated he was. Lockie Weir looking for a teammate. Finds one in Carlson. Vargas comes in with the second tackle and then off the toe of Kerr. Hume ball. I think Avondale will be pretty relieved by the scoreline after what transpired in the first 10 or 12 minutes. Mikael Platt striking the base of the post. Weir hangs it up high for Josh Bingham. And he had two defenders covering him. Might have had the height advantage, but had to backpedal and couldn't generate any power in the header.
Always a target. The captain in the box, providing that secondary option. Aside from the height of Platt, provides Abdallah Angelevski another aerial outlet. It's Ashcroft made to earn it. It's going to roll to Zini. Carpenter. Right along commentary side, ventures towards Ott as the sun starts to gleam down on Avenger Park. Avondale will take it quickly through Carpenter. Fine switch of the play to Kerr. Towns providing a supporting run. Cuba central. Ott wanted it at his feet. Couldn't trap. Now Bingham shifts towards Abdallah. Carpenter heavy press. Abdallah vocal upon perhaps his studs. Oh, Carpenter's studs rather. Just nipping the back of his heels. And Amar just remains on the deck for the meantime. Carpenter perhaps just setting the tone well and truly into the first half. Haven't exactly seen Abdallah run at defenders yet. When he had those initial couple of half chances, you saw how quick the Avondale defence was to nullify any inroads he wanted to make.
Blake Carpenter's a little fortunate there, to be honest. It was a late tackle. Amir Abdallah making sure the referee knew all about it, but it seemed like a final warning from Astro Sakalis for Blake Carpenter. Maybe a big switch of play from Ashcroft, a very disappointing one at that. Easily picked off by Kerr. It's an awkward bounce for Zinni from Aiden Bryce's ball. Abdallah again taking up very narrow positions. Maybe lacked a little bit of width in attack today, Hume, at times. That's a nice combination with Platts. Carlson breaking through the lines. The retreating Kerr doing a superb defensive job there. Here goes George Ott. It's the return ball to Vargas. McFarlane brings him to the ground, but got enough of the ball for the referee's liking.
Must appreciate the work rate of Kerr on display there to track back and just nullify that attack in which Carlson was spearheading. It's in some space there, the Swede.
Well, maybe he's learned a thing or two. Abdallah's a chance here. Manos, was he outside his box? Well, it's down to the assistant referee who's in the best position. And Astro Sakalis is going to have a quick chat.
You should see the animation on display from both Amar Abdallah and Josh Bingham. They are a little bit unsure. You've got the Avondale stats boys beside us. No Bindsy on display there. They're claiming that was also their keeper perhaps outside of the box and touching the ball with his hands. It was narrow, but Josh, I'll ask the question. What did you make of what occurred there?
Well, I'll preface it by saying you can't make the decision unless you're sure as a referee. If you're not sure, goal kick is the right option, and I think that's what happened. But it looked to me like he was outside. I'll have to do some forensic analysis of the replay to get a truer answer, but it looked like a close run thing there.
I'm of the belief that Mr. Manos is counting his lucky stars at the moment. Looked as if he might have just been outside of his box. No confirmation, obviously, but, well, certainly a first half riddled with a bit of controversy. I'm sure watching at home, whatever interpretation you have upon it, you'd be claiming as if the home side got away with that one. And they're enjoying their one-goal lead. Zenit deep in his defensive half. Carpenter happy to go back to Mr. Manos. Kamara. Sun slowly pops its head through the clouds. Kerr was the target, as was Towns. Zini's going to press. Michael Weir happy to send towards Bingham, whose cushion header finds Galevsky. He couldn't find a tangible touch. Now Bryce will want to get things moving again. I haven't exactly seen Hume crash out the gates when they've had possession. They haven't made provocative passes or really tried to force Manos into any reaction. As Cuba. O'Kane wins the header. Bingham might have missed it. It's going to still work. Abdallah. Aching. Gets it back from Bingham. Now Abdallah, more central. Carlson scans the press from Kerr and Towns. Finds Aching. Fine touch. Bingham to Ashcroft. He just puts his hand between his forehead and eyebrows to get rid of that sun, which is really gleaming down on Avenger Park at the minute. Skalevsky caught off it. Kerr trying to bundle through Ott, holding his right leg. He's drawn the foul.
The referee was just waiting for advantage there. But just earlier in the piece, I was just marvelling at the core strength of Josh O'Kane, just able to bully players off the ball out of aerial challenges. He has no right to win some of the headers that he does win. He's just so strong through the trunk. He always gets kind of ground position for them and gives himself half a chance against opponents who, you know, are half a foot taller than him. Long switch, which races away off the turf and behind for a goal kick.
It's like a greyhound to the ball. They just completely bobbled and bounced away. It looked initially sweet from Weir. Hard turf, perhaps. Allowing the ball to just completely skid beyond both players. As Kerr makes inroads. Wanted to perhaps find his captain, having to go back all the way to his centre half. Now Carpenter.
Lockie Weir felt like Scotty Scheffler at the US Open this morning. Just couldn't get a nice bobble.
But a nice header there, which prevented Kerr from taking a touch. Seeing the danger he can potentially cause. As O'Kane has had his fair share of it. Intelligent touch by Abdallah. Now Aching. That was central on the quick pass. Abdallah coming shorter to get more touches on the ball. O'Kane. Aching. Back to the orchestrator of O'Kane this afternoon. Ashcroft's happy to perhaps open up some players by charging at the home side's attacking pair of Zini and Ott. That's what they've struggled to do so far, Josh. Hume unable to have any players free. Positive from Ashcroft in attempting to charge beyond a couple of blue shirts in order to allow a couple of Hume players to be in open space. They've done well to compact it.
I think Aidan Bryce has actually helped a lot in that department for Avondale, shielding the back four. One thing that Hume do really well is attack that space outside the box with inside-out wingers coming in field, and Aidan Bryce has picked them up whenever they've got free from the fullbacks. He's closely marshalled Amir Abdallah for most of this contest, but if Abdallah holds his width a little more, he can go up Blake Carpenter and maybe have a little bit more joy 1v1. Here he is into a pocket again, but there's Aidan Bryce on the cover.
Cleaning things up momentarily. The captain, you've got to love and admire his versatility. There's a couple of question marks perhaps around the role he would fill today, and so far it's proving quite the move.
I'll wait until a bit later in the game to call it a masterstroke from Zoran Markovski, but it's proving pretty handy so far as Carlson squares it for Amir Abdallah to unleash and really catch that one. Comfortable save for Tom Manos, but there's always an air of expectation whenever Amir Abdallah is lining one up from outside the box.
Well, the flags go down for Ott or Zini. Neither touch, the flag will go up anyway. Doesn't mind the low effort at goal, Abdallah. Cast your mind back to the Manningham and Hume game a few rounds ago. That was the shot form in which got them on level terms on that occasion.
Bit of frustration involved in that foul from Zini, I think.
Sure what frustration might be from the returning player. Broke the deadlock, despite the unprettiness of it, if you will.
He's just ruled offside. I'm wondering if it was him or George Ott. Didn't get a satisfactory answer. Doesn't really matter. They were both involved in the play. It's going to be Otcheng on the set piece, and Sian Cuba getting some instructions from the lino to go back the full 10 yards. Here goes Otcheng. Bingham's in there. Skims off the head of Carpenter. Bingham just pushed off his marker, and it's a clear free kick.
As previously mentioned, it's always imperative having an aerial option. And the captain, well, he always provides one for his side. 5 goals for the season for Josh Bingham.
Here's a stat for you, Adam. With that goal from Zinni, Avondale have scored first 8 games in a row in all competitions. So they tend to start well, especially at home.
Not quite the mathematician to give you percentages, but it's nearly more often than not. As Bryce presses heavy and wins the ball, and Kerr is on for the pass. Zinni at the back post. It's the creative idea. It's not executed adequately enough, but Zini's in possession. He went the flamboyant option there, Kerr. He's going to receive on the edge of the box. Towns more central. And Kerr, well, concedes possession with Carpenter. Had he placed that pass he made with the inside of his boot, just that little bit shorter for Zinni, he had all the time and space to make it. He's second, and the home side's not double.
Yeah, it's something in Kerr's game. He's such a young talent. You know, he's been so good this season, but occasionally has a tendency to over-elaborate. He doesn't need to.
Levski will find Bingham. We're a wide option. Platt in the middle. Intervention was made when required by Vargas. It will be a corner. And Abdallah jostling quickly across to take it.
It's a good covering challenge from Vargas. Of course, they're still missing their first choice fullback in Dylan Jakupi. No Massimo D'Argenio either, who played a very active role early in the season with those defensive injuries. Maybe Abdallah put some air underneath this corner, and Mikael Platt climbing high. Almost took a specky in the box there.
Might have been on the plane radar around us, especially within the Essendon vicinity, as Abdallah nipping at the heels of Vargas. He collides with Kamara. And the offside flag's been issued.
There you go, coming back from an offside position, so always a convenient way for the referees not to deal with the free kick. It's Broadmeadows Stadium is under the flight path, so not sure if Mikael Platt's legally allowed to get air like that at home. It has to save it for the away trips.
And in the crossfires of the Avondale defensive clean-up, Kalidou Kamara still remains a little bit worse for wear. He's finally back up on his feet. But that collision with Vargas, while Abdallah, via the flamboyant scorpion touch, if you will, ensured that both the pair of Avondale defenders collided. Inadvertently, of course. Gotta love the party tricks in which majority of these Hume players possess in their arsenal. Platt and Abdallah in particular don't mind that flare option. It's Towns controls nicely. Gets around Bingham. Kerr, no look pass. O'Kane quick to pounce on it. Now Abdallah in a wide area. Chance opening up now for Hume. Platt in the box. He was making strides to get there ahead of his defensive marker. Haven't seen Hume flick the switch yet. It'll be quite evident when they do.
It's another silly giveaway from Kerr, who's had some really good moments today and some that will make your coach on the bench very frustrated. Has worked hard defensively, though, to his credit, and he spent some time as a makeshift left back in recent weeks. Memorably, for the first time against South Melbourne away, he was one of the best on the ground when it's by no means his natural position. By all accounts, absolutely hates playing left back. And if you're a player like Kerr, that's not the kind of position you want to be in. But he did an admirable job, and I think might have learnt a thing or two in that position about defensive discipline, tracking back, putting in tackles. You've seen it from him today. It's just some of those silly giveaways, even in the attacking third, where he's overcomplicated things with, simple backward passes to teammates going awry. And for a player as technically good as Kerr, it's not a skill failing. I think it's concentration as much as anything.
It's strange you mentioned how Kerr doesn't like playing that fullback role. He certainly had a task on that occasion as they crossed towards the box. Bingham! He lofted himself. And in the crossfires again collides with another Avondale defender. I believe it could be Vargas.
I think it's Blake Carpenter is in a heap underneath Josh Bingham, and I don't envy any player who ends up at the bottom of that particular stack, Son. What a chance for Josh Bingham. He loves when a winger or a fullback can hang up across like that and can just hurl himself at it. I've seen him score so many goals, be it in the NPL, even in the A-League with the Central Coast Mariners. That's his stock in trade.
Kerr trying the flamboyant flick on. Hadn't found Vargas. Now Carlson. Abdullah. Great clean-up on display yet again from the captain. Went towards Zini. Ashcroft in the way. O'Kane evades Towns. Galevsky, overlap from Aching. Bingham goes over the top. Carpenter hadn't got a foot on it. Gets his forehead just enough onto the ball to keep Aching at bay for now. He's back in possession. O'Kane back to Aching. He's crossed low. Rice deals with it for the meantime. Carlson. Aching crosses towards Bingham. Cleared away. Not exactly dealt with adequately yet. Carpenter trying to weave beyond Carlson. Clearance forward. Ashcroft plucks it at the sky. Takes a bounce. Now Kerr. And there's a breakaway on for Avondale. Kerr is trying to find Ott. He's touch a bit heavy. We're happy to send forward.
Ott would have been well offside there anyway.
Wide up yet again for Hume. Cross towards Bingham from Abdallah. Never had the shape required. You focus back on Kerr. It was in that game you mentioned there, Josh, at Lakeside, where he fell into that left-back position. I was on commentary position for that match, and, well, his work rate doesn't indicate that he doesn't like playing left-back. Certainly was quite the workhorse on that occasion. He's showcasing that intent, which you'd argue has him as a quick preference on the team sheet week in, week out, as O'Kane spins away, which forced a clearance, which ricocheted off a Hume shirt, and for Kerr to take the throw-in.
Lovely bit of juggling skill as well from Kerr to fetch possession. He's going to think about taking the throw himself, but we'll leave that to the more natural fullbacks. No, it was a great interception there, and he was almost away. George Ott could have done a better job of staying on side for him and providing a more realistic passing option, but I think Ott was expecting Kerr to just keep running and keep dribbling. Bit of a miscommunication between the two, and the pass was heavy anyhow. Bryce, good head up. It's up for Kerr, who wins it well. Mark Hotching takes it out of the sky. Hotching looks for the switch. Abdallah back to Weir. Now Carlson looking to play the killer ball. Carlson, and again it skids off the turf. Josh Galevsky had swapped flanks. Made a darting run in behind, but Tom Mouse had his angles covered and pretty sharp bounce covered as well. Kerr. Risky one into Bryce. Then Otcheng. Neither player was giving anything away there. Blake Carpenter timed the challenge well.
Just to touch on that Carlson pass over the top, the idea was supreme. It was rather unlucky. It's becoming also a little aspect of the confrontation between these two sides today. The ball has a tendency to just completely skid away. And the turf held that ball up. Gilevsky is certainly in for 1-1. It's Bryce all over it. Gilevsky's going to fall to him on the edge of the area. Can he get his shot away? He still has it, Gilevsky. He twists and turns. Looks towards the official. Felt Kamara might have had too much contact upon him. And now Bryce wants to spearhead a counter-attack. Towns, Kerr in a wide area. Pass wasn't acknowledged. He goes to Carpenter. Ott making a leading run. Kerr. Ott on the edge of the box. Towns. O'Kane cleans up. Platt looks what's ahead of him. O'Kane makes an option. Gilevsky glances towards Abdallah. Vargas quick to confront Abdallah's heavy touch. He continues. His shot bounces off Vargas. Zini swapping flanks and cleaning things up via the little shirt tug right at the end of it.
Well, Stefan Zini's got to be a little bit careful. We're getting in a shoving match with Abdallah now, but did put in that challenge to give away the free kick earlier, so he'll be walking on thin ice. Bingham for Ocheng. Shanks for the long diagonal into the box, and Manos was always favoured for that one. They do have twin targets up front to aim for in Bingham and Platt, so the aerial route could be a profitable one. Here goes Kerr for Avondale, who leaves Ocheng in the dust and then beats him around the outside. And the cross is really deep. It's going to stay in play somehow. Zini. Cuba. The 1-2 with Towns. Sion Cuba trying to craft shooting chance, and it's just lofted over the bar. Well, Sion Cuba hasn't seen too much of the ball today, but whenever he's got it, he's looked really dangerous. He waited, he hesitated, he fainted, and then he rather had to lift that one in an unconventional fashion to avoid the sea of legs in front of him, and it's just a foot or so over the crossbar.
That was brilliant play from both Towns and Cuba. And the finish had deceived the goalkeeper. It felt as if he was going to go to the far post. The lofting option towards the top right corner was definitely been in contention for goal of the round, you feel.
What a touch from Towns that was. Back heel.
And he keeps progressing, Towns. That's fantastic. He waits Cuba's option. He then releases Kerr. Options queuing up. Oh, one of them. Kerr dancing. Getting around Carlson. Firing it towards a chain. It's hit his hand, and it's a penalty right on the stroke of the 45-minute mark. A chain couldn't keep his hands low, and it's Kerr who draws the penalty for the home side. He feels as if he's going to take it.
Well, Hume will argue the decision, and it's difficult to tell from our commentary position. Referee had a much better view, but the passing combination earlier in the move on Avondale's, well, just shy of the halfway line with that passing triangle, was absolutely sublime to draw in the Hume press, and it was an astonishing touch from Yite Towns with the back heel earlier in the move. And Kerr is intent on taking this penalty himself. Fair enough too. The Avondale juniors love it.
Certainly in voice. As Kerr from the spot has a chance for his 6th goal in the 2024 campaign. Has the goalkeeping brilliance of Michael Weir ahead of him. Right on the 45-minute mark of the first half. It's Kerr who has the chance from the spot. To double their advantage. Sends the keeper the wrong way. Takes him right out the equation. It's Kerr on the score sheet for Avondale. And Michael Weir has been sent off. Uncertain what might have occurred here. The Avondale players coming across. Something perhaps said upon the penalty being taken. And it's gone from bad to worse for the visitors. Their keeper sent packing. As Josh Parrish has a look at the replay, you feel as if something might have been said that was rather unsavoury, which prompted the referee.
He's kicked the ball at the celebrating players. That's what he's done.
To reach right for his back pocket. A very silly move. And there it is. You see it from a frustrated Michael Weir. And David Chick. Well, he was up against it already. This might turn out to be quite the ugly performance from the visitors, much to the contentness of Avondale, who right on the stroke of half-time have a 2-goal lead and an extra man.
Yeah, he's kicked it straight into George Ott, and it looked pretty petulant as well. He's denying that that's what he meant, but the referee had a clear view of it, and a very silly way to get yourself sent off. You know, Hume City was still very much in with a chance at 2-0. Now down to 10 men and having to make a sacrifice substitution. As Jackson Riley comes on, it's, I think, Josh Golevsky who's gone to the bench, which is a real shame. Well, with 10 men, it looks like a very steep road back into this contest. What a brain snap from Michael Weir, such an experienced player. And there goes the halftime whistle. And this first 45 ends in controversy and acrimony as Avondale take a 2-0 lead from the spot. Kerr keeping his cool to send Michael Weir the wrong way. But it's what happened afterwards that will be the centre of attention in this one, as Hume City go in and remonstrate with Astro Sakalis again. Michael Weir given a straight red card for kicking the ball at the celebrating Avondale players, catching George Ott in the stomach. And not only are they 2 goals down, they're a man down heading into the second half against a team they haven't beaten in their last 5 attempts. Oh, Adam, is there any way back for Hume City here?
Well, it's quite the mountain, and you feel like the harness has been ripped right off them. They could be in free fall come the start of the second half. Jackson Riley has a chance to really showcase his ability. He's been utilised throughout the start of the season for the visitors. He's going to be up against it, you feel, in the second half.
Well, that's the green shoots, the silver lining for Hume City, is they have a goalkeeper who has played first-team football for most of the year before Michael Weir's return from the Newcastle Jets. So they do have a good option between the sticks as a backup, but going down to 10 is going to make it mighty difficult against Avondale. We'll take a short break here on the NPL Victoria live stream. Josh Parrish here alongside Adam Palombi. The halftime score at Avenger Park is Avondale 2, Hume City 0.
has been laid down. A gun to
the second half of this round 18 encounter. George Ott to get the proceedings underway shortly. Quite the talking point that brewed right at the death of the first half, with Michael Weir being sent his marching orders by Astros Akalis following what was a rather schoolboy display of behaviour from rather the experienced goalkeeper. Jackson Riley accumulates the goalkeeper position. Only 2 attacking players for Hume. Unsure on what the approach will be from David Schick. It's all against the visitors and all with the home side as they get the ball rolling for the second half.
Looks as if Josh Bingham is slotted into midfield here with Amir Abdallah and Mikael Platt up front. So 4-3-2 is the setup. Still quite aggressive. They can't afford to sink into their shells here, Hume City. If they're going to stand a chance in this second half, it would be an unbelievable comeback from this position. But stranger things have happened in this league that we so love. NPL Victoria always throws up surprises. So how will Hume City adapt to this second half? Avondale thus far in cruise control at 2-0 against 10 men. Amir Abdallah going to the byline, Blake Carpenter laying the tackle, and an early Hume corner. So a positive start to the second 45. It's an unenviable position as a coach when you're trying to limit the damage and trying to peg back the lead for the opposition as well with 10 players. At what point do they take the shackles off in this game? Do they adapt their game plan at all? Do they just keep trying to attack and numerical disadvantage be damned? It's a hell of a conundrum for David Schick and his Chargers. Well defended by George Ott. Carpenter puts his foot through it. Rocky Weir steps in ahead of Kerr. Not Sheng sizing up his options. Floating one high. Mikael Platt struggling with the sun. Will it sit for the strike for Platt? He's barged over by Aiden Bryce, and it's a free kick in shooting range. And Hume City have the weapons over the dead ball. Amir Abdallah, the obvious one, who's already netted stunning free kicks this season. Josh Bingham an option as well. Looks like they're clearing the decks for Abdallah here, Adam.
It was last time out in the Hume City home fixture between these two sides, where Abdallah had levelled the scores at the 80th minute. Of course, it was a bit more to the right of the edge of the box, a lot more central on this occasion. But Manos is organising his wall. You feel as if the keeper will be tested to his full capacity here.
Well, what's Amir Abdallah got in his locker this time? He's given us so many special moments already this season. Still bedding down the turf next to the ball. 5 in the wall for Avondale. Amir Abdallah! It's just over the crossbar. And Manos getting tangled in his own net. Well, he wasn't taking any chances scampering across his goal. Hard to get the ball up and down from that sort of range. Amir Abdallah desperately unlucky.
Only a couple of more steps further away from where the free kick was conceded. You feel as if the scores might be only 1 goal to the advantage of the home side. The away side pulling one back. Manos, well, you mentioned that Josh was taking absolutely no chances. Got himself tangled in the net. I guess that's indication of his commitment.
It's indication of just how worried he was about Amir Abdallah's free kick. Hurled himself through the air. Kerr. Vargas wants the return ball. Instead he goes back to Bryce. Carpenter joining the attack now. Oh, he's given it away to Amir Abdallah. Only Mikael Platt ahead of him in a white shirt. Oh, he finds him brilliantly. What a pass. And Mikael Platt is through on goal. Oh, just across the face again. Another chance goes begging for Hume City. Oh, Mikael Platt will be mighty disappointed with the way he struck that. Seemed really scuffed and mishit across the face at him.
Had a lot more time than he anticipated. He made significant strides to get beyond the centre half as Vargas committed. Carlson commits his own foul. On that Mikael Platt chance, well, he had the time. He's trying to find the far post, in which the ball gone out for a throw-in. So by his own standards, not exactly what I'm sure he was forecasting upon dispatching the shot. As Bingham was a bit late on Gian Cuba. Quite the esteemed free kick taker in his own right. Will be way too far out. They have not even thought about the prosperity of going for goal. It's worked all the way back to the keeper.
The thing about Mikael Platt is he's been so good this year, such a useful player for Hume City. But he hasn't hit the scoreboard that often. A couple of penalties, 3 goals for the year. If you took his, all-round build-up play out of the equation and the way Hume City are playing with him in the team, you'd think it was a pretty disappointing return for a visa striker coming across from the UK. So he's going to want to up that goal tally before the end of the year. Here's Stefan Zinni. Big shout for handball. They won't get a penalty this time. Off the top of the shoulder. As Kerr drew a spot kick in the first half in pretty similar circumstances.
Just touching on Mikael Platt, you've got to give credit to his overall hold-up play. It's allowed for both Abdallah and Isgrove to really shine in those wide areas. He frees up the space in between the centre halves, which allows for his wide players to roam into.
He said that the best Hume City chances have fallen his way today, and one off the base of the post is pretty unfortunate, but that finish was less than convincing. Mikael Platt's more clinical. Maybe we're looking at a different equation ahead of us. Untidy pass from Vargas. Ducks the challenge. And Lockie Weir coming in. Ball spills out to Fletcher McFarlane. That's Jackson Riley between the sticks now for Hume City after Michael Weir was dismissed in the first half. The uncharacteristic display of petulance. Such an experienced player. And Ashcroft. Bit of a hip and shoulder, but enough of the ball to please the referee. Oh, the throw-in's left a little short. Avondale bringing down George Ott. Forthcoming with the apologies. Ott refusing the hand up. Well, he's in no mood after Michael Weir booted the ball at his midriff to end the first half. But any pleasantries from today's visitors? The Kiwi striker inherited the number 9 jersey here at Avondale. Kerr, late challenge on Carlson. Now Seb Vargas is in a bit of trouble. Maybe for kicking the ball away. Just a warning from Astro Sakalis.
Weir ventures towards Platt. Unattained with the header now. Abdallah gets around a couple. Carlson tries to earn a corner. It's going to sit for Abdallah. Helicopter pass towards Platt, who leaped up. Much to his previous effort, just shifted well wide. Played it quick with Carpenter. Finding Cuba. Fine pass from the left back. Cuba getting round the midfield and venturing towards the left wing. Ott in support with Zini. Cuba, quite the run, kept going, picked out Zini, who gets ahead of the keeper.
Goal kicks the verdict here from Sakalis. Hand in mouth moment for Hume City. Jackson Riley bringing down Stefan Zini, but he was going away from goal. Looked to be heading out of play. I think they're asking for a yellow card for simulation, which would be pretty harsh.
Froze momentarily there. He wasn't sure what the call might have been, especially given the position of the referee.
Well, that hand signal is always a little bit vague. Penalty or goal kick, you're pointing to almost the same spot.
The last thing I would like to do is say there's a penalty when it's quite the opposite, as that pass was intended for Kerr in a wide area. Riley happy to send towards Platt. The ball's going to sit up. And kept alive by Platt despite it looking as if it was going to trickle on out. Vargas. Kerr. Fronted by Ria. Abdallah backtracking. Towns had quite the tenure today also in the engine room. Cuba had that run previously. Carpenter has time and space to let one fly. Instead he rolls to Zini. Gets the afterburners on across the face of goal towards Kerr. Lachlan Weir had to be a step ahead of the attacker who was hunting his double, in whom the Hume left back was up for the occasion. Avondale enjoying some territory inside their attacking half. Towns orchestrating. Vargas found by Kamara. Towns happy to head back towards his right centre half, who concedes possession with Bingham. He spins from the respective captain of Bryce. O'Kane. Now Abdallah. Not many options forward for Hume. I'm sure they're going to be happy to just venture in possession. Carlson taking the game upon himself. Draws a couple of players. Fine cross towards Bingham, with Manos just intervening. Carlson's had that tendency today to try and make things work with his passing and his dribbling to open up the field as Platt receives it. Carlson's on for the pass. Instinctive defending from the veteran Aidan Bryce, who's been imperative this afternoon. Now to the away side enjoying a spell in possession. Bingham's low cross. It's going to find Platt, who turns. Can't get his shot away in the process. Collides with Kamara, and Hume is clutching at his legs.
Entirely accidental there from Mikael Platt. He's trying to shoot. Kamara gets there first. Platt swings at the space where the ball once was and smashes into Kalalu Kamara's leg, so it wouldn't tickle that one, but Mikael Platt forthcoming with the apologies, and I don't think any further action was required. Another dangerous giveaway from Avondale. They're in such a cushioned position at the moment with that 2-goal lead. They don't want to give away a silly one and give Hume hope. Kerr finding Sian Cuba. Cuba feints to cross and cuts it back and gives away possession. Abdallah. Kamara contesting with Platt and wins that one.
It's a great ball from Kerr to unleash Cuba. Not sure what Cuba might have thought. There was no crossing option, perhaps. Not sure why he recycled all the way back and ultimately conceding possession. But quite the incisive pass from Kerr.
We criticised him a couple of times for silly giveaways in the first half, but in the aggregate, Kerr has been very useful today. Avondale very happy to see him back. Just feeling for his quad there. Hopefully nothing serious. The last thing Avondale need is another muscle injury. Yes, they have one of the deeper squads in the comp, but when you have an injury crisis of this magnitude, any club's going to struggle. Avondale kept trotting out results week after week with sometimes a skeleton crew. Albeit last week's result has been overturned and leaves them third on the table instead of second. Platt wins the aerial duel with Vargas. Kamara exchanging passes with Yite Towns, who broke the Avondale appearances record last week, all-time for the club. One of those players who's been with them the whole way, that rise through the divisions. One of the premier midfielders in the top flight in Victoria. It's an extraordinary story, really. Coming across from Tasmania and establishing himself here at Avondale, and his rise has mirrored the club's. Finally crowned champions of Victoria in 2023. Would you believe this club was once strutting its stuff all the way down in State League 4? They've assembled some of the best talent in Australia at this level. Yite Towns, maybe the jewel in their crown in terms of talent identification early. He's been such a loyal servant. Here comes the subs. The board is up. And how good to see Christian Trzaski back in action. Well, us in the NPL Victoria commentary were fearing that Christian Trzaski would not see any football in 2024 after his leg was broken by an awful challenge at Dandenong Thunder. But he's made a speedy recovery. And he's back out on the park.
Quite the afternoon for the home supporters, seeing the returns of two of their more established attackers. But what a story, what a turnaround, Josh. That tackle, having seen the footage of it, felt as if it could have been curtains. At worst case scenario, of course, I think the youngster's career, but it's always a pleasure to see him back on the pitch.
Well, at his best, he is one of the best. Spent time abroad in Portugal. Was playing against his old club where he came through the youth ranks, Hume City. Towns. Hume ball. That time we took a trip around the grounds here with so many simultaneous kickoffs on a Saturday in Victoria. Just wait for this one to play out. Lockie Weir combining with Bingham. Not to Abdallah, but Blake Carpenter came in field to clear the danger, and then Lockie Weir, unlucky, had no idea he was about to get the ball, but standing in an offside position. So over at Petty's Reserve, Manningham 1, Port Melbourne 1. So Manningham have equalised after going behind to a Fraser Dunlop goal in that one. They are very much embroiled in the relegation battle after Moreland City picked up 3 points for a forfeit win last week. Avondale forced their way through, and on the charge now, Huber. Not fancied himself, instead it's a lofted cross in the direction of Kerr. And over in the Croatian derby at Frank Holohan, Dandenong City 1, Melbourne Knights 2 at half-time. Mitch Hoare and Kieran Bramwell on the score sheet for the Knights. Bramwell in a real purple patch at the moment. He scored a last-minute equaliser against Avondale a couple of weeks ago. Netted against St Albans as well. Now, speaking of St Albans, they are locked at 0-0 at half-time in a relegation scrap against Moreland City at CB Smith. That one, the absolute definition of a six-pointer.
Bingham tries finding Kane, and now Trzaski wants to venture forward. Ott on for the pass. Curran support. Towns to the back post. Space opening up here. Look towards the official who's going to award yet another penalty. The late challenge on George Ott. Culminates in yet another spot kick for the Avengers, this time towards the Calabria Club end of the field.
Well, I don't know who their penalty taker is, usually Avondale. Had a few different ones this year, but it seems as if you win the penalty, you get to take it yourself, and George Ott has claimed the ball and is lining up for his 7th of the year.
He scored a brace against South Melbourne at Lakeside in last year's rematch of the grand final. There's a chance to make it 3 for the home side on this occasion. George Ott against Riley, and the keeper with a tremendous save. Jackson Riley off the bench and saves a penalty against George Ott, who hadn't exactly showcased much confidence walking up towards the ball placed on the spot.
I think Jackson Riley had some choice words for George Ott after that as well. Well, what a statement to come in as the backup goalkeeper after the number one's been sent off and to save the spot kick to keep your side in the hunt. Hume City now going to their bench. Amir Abdallah being sacrificed, which is a surprising one.
Can that give them the confidence and perhaps a shift in momentum? They are without a player. That's evident, but
Umut Bozdogan is the player who's come on, the utility club favourite, homegrown talent.
Oh, just getting the jumper of McFarlane.
Yeah, if that penalty save doesn't give them impetus to come back into this contest, nothing will. There's the ultimate G-up moment for the side under the pump. See your backup goalkeeper coming up with a brilliant diving save. Well, George Ott seemed sure of himself when he grabbed the ball, but the connection on the penalty was anything but convincing.
Perhaps trying to follow in the footsteps of Kerr's penalty in the first half, which sent the keeper the wrong way. Wasn't the same on that occasion. Weir's going to launch the free kick, and it's an in-swinging ball, which Manos has no real qualms about claiming. Right at the teeth of his box. So Hume quick to get back in defensive position as Carpenter fires towards Strajewski. McFarlane swings a boot, which unconventionally gets his keeper with his paws on the ball. Ashcroft goes a long option. Bingham controls well and gets beyond his marker, Platt. Not much in the box. Platt works around Carpenter, gets the ball fired into the 6-yard area, all for the clearance to be made at the expense of a corner. 68 minutes played. La Familia in firm control. Hume City, however, through the goalkeeping brilliance of Jackson Riley, denying George Ott from the spot. They have a corner, and perhaps if they find something tangible from it, could have a glimmer of hope of turning this improbable result around. Crossfight in towards the near post. Manos punching away. Bozdogan confronting Strajewski. Long ball forward from Cuba. Kerr. Akane he's back against it. He does well. He takes the game on. Platt, the only option. Kane making that run around him. Great ball in towards Bingham. Just couldn't find anything tangible on the end of it.
Well, I've had so many nearly moments from those sorts of passes. It's largely been Oscar Carlson, the main practitioner, but Mikael Platt trying to find his strike partner. I think the reason for bringing off Amir Abdallah, assuming there's no injury concern, is to get Josh Bingham higher up the park and give him 2 aerial targets to aim for.
For the long ball, which Platt was the target. Kamara gets onto the end of it. Carlson Well done there, Bryce. Possession reinstated with the home side. Trajewski upon his return in the engine room, trying to skip beyond O'Kane. Finds Kamara. Vargas a wide option, he's utilised. Towns. Platt hadn't exactly pressed on the heavy touch. Kamara happy to work it back to the keeper. Just over 20 minutes left in the contest. It's rather the routine half on display from the side, firmly in control. As Trajewski, fine pass. Now here's Cuba. Puts his head down, gets to work. The ball still somehow remains alive. Momentarily it had. Oh, for the goal kick to be awarded. Cuba's had a couple of moments today where he's put his head down and gotten to work and ran firmly at the visitors.
I think it's an unfamiliar role for him that he's playing in. He can play out wide, but he'd much prefer to be through the middle as an attacking midfielder. Such the Avondale stocks that he's had to take up some positions wider than he'd like, but he's still such a dangerous footballer. Oh, look at that pass combination with Ott. He's making things happen, Cuba. And he finds Kerr in a bit of space down the right. Kerr flashing the step-overs past two challengers and strikes with his left, and Jackson Riley with another big save. Well, what a goal that would have been from Kerr. In from Trajewski, it's come to Kerr, and then Weir manages to hold him off. Hume City living dangerously. A third would surely kill this game.
I might have ran out of fingers to count on the amount of players Kerr had just breezed past. The effort, although not exactly catching it so sweetly, forced the keeper into a save, which was made by Riley.
From a standing start there, Adam, he generated quite a lot of power on that.
So tantalising to watch is Kerr, who's hunting his double. He would have found it in spectacular fashion. Cuba, which got the pass out wide to Kerr, was brilliant upon the build-up play. Also weaving some magic. So Kane finds Platt, a Ching. Not much for him to really go for. Avondale compacting the space as they look towards their bench, the home side. And that's Kerr's afternoon all wrapped up.
Yeah, it's going to be Stefan Sijatovic, another one of the young brigade who's been promoted to senior football in the injury crisis. He's going to come on, the number 18. Maybe Zoran Markovski now thinking with 20 minutes to play, 2 goals up. A man advantage. This is the time to blood some young players and keep your powder dry for weeks to come. Kerr, of course, only just back from injury, not up to full match fitness, but he's been very, very good today. Vargas, quick feet around Ashcroft. And now Yite Towns is onside. The cut back for George Ott. He's got Trajewski in supports. It spills out to Ott. The shot is blocked, and then Sijatovic trying his luck with his first touch since coming off the bench.
In range, why not have a go? He had time. The intervention had to be made. It's a low cross, was dealt with by McFarlane at the expense of a corner, and you feel as if the home side are on the precipice of finding their third. Trajewski nearly with the story of the round, having found a goal upon his return. Still has time, of course, to fulfill that fairy tale. He's on the edge of the box with O'Kane. Ott at the front post. Towns, Kamara and Bryce. Venture towards the centre, ball's flung in. Ott at the near post. Bryce takes a chance, which had nice shape on it, but it dipped away, much to the pleasure of Jackson Riley.
Well, centre back by trade, but not by nature. Aiden Bryce with a sweet hit on the volley. Well, the net rippled. The home fans, for just a fraction of a second, might have thought it was in. Alas. And Bryce just wide of the mark.
Fine pass from Riley to now Carlson into some possession. Towns bullies him off the ball. And gets beyond Bosdigan. Carpenter had it behind him, still in possession. Takes the sting out the play. Cuba remaining patient. Towns. Triangle play on display on the left wing. As Cuba has jurisdiction of the ball within. And ultimately runs out of real estate. All for Jackson Riley to do it all over again.
Just confirming there that Stefan Sijatovic is making his senior debut today. So big moment for the young man. Congratulations to him for getting on the park for the first time in fully fledged senior game, the number 18. And here he is, the debutant, Stefan Sijatovic. Picking out Vargas on the overlap. It's off McFarlane. His arms were flailing. I think it's come off his foot and then his head. So Fletcher McFarlane maybe a little fortunate not to concede a third penalty of the afternoon for Hume City.
Would have been a hat-trick from the official in awarding penalties at the expense of the away side. His hands were in unnatural positions. For a brief moment, it felt as if, well, spot would have been pointed to. But it's the corner.
It's going to be Blake Carpenter to take an in-swinger. George Ott's in the 6-yard box. Same Bryce and Kalaloo Kamara to attack it. It's overhit. Bryce will recycle. Goes to the back post. And easy pickings for Jackson Riley in the end. I'll try and pick up Bingham in a hurry. Vargas on his back. Bosduan. Hume City cough up the ball. Sijatovic. George Ott now. Trying to jink his way past Ashcroft. He's got Vargas in support. And we'll use the young fullback. Now Trzeski. Sijatovic again. Helps it on. One more for Blake Carpenter. Carpenter to shoots. It was a rocket. A pile driver from the left back. And he wasn't too far away.
It certainly had shape. Hit with some absolute firepower from Carpenter. He had time upon the pass. Much credit to Jackson Riley, however. We did mention before half-time that he would be up against it in this second half. To his credit, he's been kept scoreless so far. Hume at the door, closing on them in the contests. They were rather barged out of it, given their goalkeeper being sent off. Is there a particular moment which could give them a glimmer of hope? Towns to put it all to bed. Within this play, they remain patient. The debutant happy to go to his captain as they work it in the engine room. Carpenter, Cuba, Ott in the box. Flag's going to go up. Cuba offside.
Yeah, sound Cuba just a little over-eager that time, but Hume City look to be running out of gas. You can hardly blame them when Avondale are moving the ball like this. And defending with a man less. It's a lot for those midfielders to cover. Jackson Riley with a long punt. Bingham wins the flick on. Platts bullies his way past Pisani. Still Mikel Platts. Now Josh Bingham takes over. And he fires it in low straight against Aiden Bryce. Never had any realistic chance of finding a teammate there as Mikel Platt struggles with a shoelace, I think, rather than an injury. And perhaps he is walking a bit proppy, the Englishman. Oh, sirens going off in the background. It's an emergency situation for Hume City here. They need to score, and they need to score quickly if they're in with a chance. Oscar Carlson's in a bit of space on the edge of the box. Hume City are packing the 6-yard area and trying to make things difficult for Tom Manos, who's not the tallest of goalkeepers. Usually makes up for it with acrobatics. Lockie Weir, good shape on it. Platt attacking it. Manos got a palm to it. Carlson skewed off his left boot, and away come Avondale. Vargas trying to return the favour for Trzeski, but Josh O'Kane tracking back, and Mark Otcheng will go all the way back to his goalkeeper. O'Kane, difficult one from Riley, who has a hand up in apology. O'Kane dribbling into traffic, looked a risky option, but he's made it work somehow with the help of Harry Ascroft. Bingham. Back to O'Kane. And Cuba just catching a stray leg there, giving away a free kick.
Well done, O'Kane. Really took the game on there. It was under a bit of pressure.
Well, he only just sprinted back from being on the edge of the box for the corner, so it's a sensational work rate and engine from Josh O'Kane.
Certainly has the heart. As a Ching fires one towards Bingham. Ott on defensive duties. It props up for McFarlane. He crosses towards Platt. Chance here from Ashcroft. Bingham to bundle home. Bryce in the way. Arguably the best chance the visitors have had in this half. They were so close that the Aidan Bryce intervention had to be made as Carlson tries getting past the mountain of Kamara. It falls behind Vargas. Kamara cleans up and draws the foul, alleviating the pressure in which Hume were providing. The floodlights around Avenger Park, despite the sunshine gleaming down, have also been switched on. They were under the defensive pump for a moment there, the Avengers.
Yeah, it was the Avondale backline under the spotlight a moment ago. Aidan Bryce in that destroyer role today. Avondale don't usually play with a dedicated 6 to break things up. Ball over the top for Cuba. Is the flag going to stay down for him? It does. And Sion Cuba's bundled over. Defender won enough of the ball. And Cuba's shot is blocked. A slightly bizarre passage of play as Otcheng got the ball caught under his feet inadvertently and actually couldn't move, because if you play at the ball whilst you're on the deck, it's an indirect free kick. So Kamara falling theatrically on the football. Got it caught between his knees. And to speak of the devil, I mean, there's an indirect free kick awarded for the exact same infringement. So
this game all got a bit bizarre in that last passage. A lot to unpack on both ends. Kamara conceding the free kick. Aching was on the spot. The ball sort of caught up between the mid-area of his body, if you will. Ott kept going, hadn't discouraged him from trying to sniff their third. But Cuba, well, they're running behind. Flag had stayed down. Surprised he hadn't taken the opportunity as Aching fires towards the central region of the box. The goalkeeper, no qualms in claiming it from Manos. And now the transition is firmly on. And the wrong option was picked out. At the end of it, there was a streaming run from Vargas on the right side. If he was acknowledged, he had a paddock of space to interpret into.
Wow, it was 4-on-3. Hume City really outnumbered there. Very disappointing free kick from Otcheng. That's a better ball from him, though. Bosdoan making a nuisance of himself. Aidan Bryce dropping back to cover Ethan Pisani.
Ashcroft making it a real task for O'Kane, who will stay alive, hadn't gone out of play. Now Kamara to Vargas. Tempo control from Avondale, trying to take any potential sting out of the contest. They weren't exactly quick to start. Hume having a couple of chances and hitting the post in the first half, but they've weathered that storm comprehensively. And Josh Parrish looks around the grounds to give us another update.
Well, it's goals galore over in the Croatian derby at Frank Holohan. Melbourne Knights twice took the lead. Dandenong City twice equalised, and Melbourne Knights back in front at 3-2 in the 70th minute. It's George Ott playing the hold-up man, giving Blake Carpenter a chance on the angle, and Trzeski bundles it in at the far post. Christian Trzeski back in action, back on the score sheet. And Avondale get around him. The player who suffered such a traumatic injury not too long ago has made a very speedy recovery, and he has a goal to celebrate on his return. And that should kill off the game once and for all. 3-0, 3 points for the Avengers.
Great distribution from Cuba. It's very patient. That run was coming from Trzeski. It felt as if it could have been released a touch earlier. The timing, all important. And from practically a foot in front of goal, made no mistake. The returning Christian Trzeski, his goalkeeper, and Thomas Manos ran the length of the pitch to congratulate the youngster upon his presence on the score sheet. Like Josh mentioned, this one's all and truly wrapped up beyond dispute now. And you felt like that was coming for some time.
It's a special moment for Christian Trzeski, who thought his season was over when he went down at George Andrews.
As both Cuba and Kamara been called to the bench, looks like rather a couple of young players have entered the pitch.
Going to be Dominic Berchia and Jacob Chinema to come on. Jacob, who has a sister who plays A-League Women for Melbourne City, Naomi, and under 23 international. He comes from a very successful, proud footballing family. He's going to play in midfield today, and Dom Berchia replace Kalu Kamara. Ooh, side foot volley. Wasn't too far away from Lockie Weir. Maybe his teammate in front of him rather put him off.
Neat little passage of play from City in hunt of a consolation.
Well, I've got news from Petty's reserve. Manningham have turned it around and they lead against Port Melbourne. Would be a huge win. Here goes Hume City with their substitute off the bench, Mehmet Oysal. Up against Ethan Pisani, sees it over the line, and Avondale goal kick. But that would take Manningham clear of relegation trouble if the result holds at CB Smith. Moreland City 0, St Albans 0. George Ott has options ahead of him and he's picked the wrong one. Didn't execute the through ball for Christian Trzeski. I think Hume City have given up the ghost now. They know there's no way back. And you can see what a third goal does for demoralising the opposition when they're down to 10. Oh, lovely 1-2. Trzeski! And tucked in by Jacob Chinema. A first Avondale goal. And it's 4 for Avondale. Jacob Chinema breaks his senior duck. And you can see how excited his teammates were for him. They come from everywhere for that one as well. It's all smiles for the Avengers. They're 4 to the good.
And making a statement in the process. Similar to the goal in which Trzeski had scored. Chinema at the back post from pretty much the same range with the same result.
Not bad going as far as efficiency from a substitute. Trzeski an assist, the goal. As you say, they're almost action replays of each other with Trzeski switching roles.
Not much Riley could do about either of those goals he has conceded. As Towns, O'Kane in possession. Weir on for the pass. He cuts in onto his right. And a big save by Manos.
It struck the woodwork, I think, out of...
Looked as if the keeper might have got a touch, but the woodwork perhaps... Well, it seemed as if Manos had gotten a firm fist on it, but thinking about it back in real time, it was hit with some force, that's for sure. Looked as if the keeper got his hands on it.
It looked... he was right in line with the post. So you rarely say with a shot that hits the post, the keeper had it covered. I think Tom Manus might have. As Christian Trzeski, lovely first touch. And he tried to chip the goalkeeper, but Jackson Riley saw it coming.
What a ball over the top. That was stupendous. That would have been his double. He really felt as if once he was in on the keeper, he was going to just tuck it into the bottom right corner. So chances are plentiful. The contest well and truly nullified. 3 minutes on the board of the fourth official. Is there still time for more goals to rain down at Avenger Park? On for the pass is Chinema. Chance opening up here for him. And it's his second off the bench. Impact substitute. He's at the brace. And Avondale have made it 5.
What an afternoon for Jacob Chinema. He's only come off the bench once this season before today. He'd never scored a senior goal, and now he's got 2. Outrageous. And what cool finishing from a young player who's never been in those positions before. The first tucked in at the back post with an open goal, but the second drilled into the bottom corner. 5-0. And Avondale are having fun. The young brigade are contributing big time.
He's had quite the performance, despite little time he's had on the playing surface. Have quite the story to tell his friends on Monday. As Bryce launches it long. Ott chasing Riley in 2 minds. He does much of the same, in which the Avondale captain had done, as Carlson couldn't trap and keep it low.
You have to feel for Hume City, though. I mean, 5-0 seems wholly unfair based on how they've played today. They have left gaps at the back, of course, but they struck the post twice. It seemed as if 2-0 was pretty harsh on them when Kerr tucked away his penalty in first half stoppage time. But then Michael Weir got himself sent off, and they were always vulnerable against a team as good as Avondale. His talent runs even deeper than we realised. We're figuring that out this season, that the youth ranks are pretty strong here at the Reggio Calabria club. Lockie Weir
takes a tumble. Vargas almost animated the way in which they collided over each other. Question I put to you, Josh, what does it mean for the visitors in their next contest? Considering they've, well, it's harsh to say, but they have been outclassed by the home side. On this occasion, they might have a last gasp chance at a consolation. Let you marinate that answer as Carlson dances on the edge of the area. Firm defending on display from Avondale, which is received by this side. You can hear them vocally getting around their players. Full-time whistle not too far away.
Well, it's away to St Albans next for Hume. Mikael Platt might have a chance. There's a scramble in the box. Josh O'Kane again, tireless running from him. Has been all day. And Astro Sakalis brings this one to a close. A 5-star performance from Avondale. Yes, against 10 men in the second half, but they did it in style. And some real heartwarming stories. Christian Trzeski back from a broken leg to score on his return. And Jacob Chinema bagging a brace. He'd never scored a senior goal. Now he's got 2. And the senior players are so excited for him. And to answer your earlier question, Adam, I think Hume City have to write this one off as one of those days. They were never much of a chance with 10 men in the second half, and they got run over in the end. Just ran out of steam. But they showed enough today in flashes, especially in the first half when it was even numbers out there, and they struck the base of the post through Mikael Platt. They can compete with teams on this level, but it's just too steep a hill to climb at 2-0 down at half-time, and getting your goalkeeper sent off is, yeah, just a sickening blow. So Hume City back to the drawing board. Avondale continue on their march. They go second on the live ladder. Oakley Cannons still to play, of course. Very much title contenders despite the injury crisis. Adam, what have you made of this Avondale performance?
Well, the Oakley Cannons side and whom await Avondale on Tuesday night in the Cup will certainly be sharpening up their defensive abilities, noticing that Avondale have multiple attacking facets despite the injury concern in which they're currently experiencing. The youngsters can net a goal. Their veterans can do the same. And today was a real statement made. Credit to the away side. This season they have been quite the staple in the competition. They've been competitive to put 5 goals beyond 5th place. Showcases perhaps a different class in which Avondale are currently situated in.
Oh, Zoran Markovski being forced to do more with less. You can see the big huddle in the centre of the park. Avondale have had a tough week with the result against Moreland City overturned. Forfeit win to Moreland City after they fielded a player ruled ineligible. So it's been a rough week for the club, losing their ladder position, but they've responded in the best possible fashion. Thank you for your company, Adam Palombi on the call. I've been Josh Parrish. It's been a delight to join you on the NPL Victoria live stream. The final score at the Reggio Calabria Club is Avondale 5, Hume City 0.